Hey, y'all. This is Frank the Bigfoot, and you're listening to the Paranormal Punchers.
So if it's any surprise, I didn't do any research. In fact, I haven't even opened the Wikipedia on this topic, if there is one. So
there is.
Hey, friends. You heard it from Dave first. He did no research. Welcome to Paranormal Punchers. I'm Mark.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nash.
I might be Dave.
Hey, all right. Coming to you again through the quarantine using Skype. How you gentlemen doing?
Pretty good.
That says it all right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This has been a drinking day. So
Okay.
Yeah, you said that you and Whitney started out tasting scotch this morning.
yes.
I love that you had you and your wife had a nice little scotch tasting going on. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. So 2 different kinds of scotches, Johnny Walker, blended scotch. And one was designed to be drank neat. One was over ice. So a little comparison back and forth there. And now I'm pretty lit.
Yeah, that Johnny Walker Blue you had that one time was amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
But this is not the alcohol show.
Nope.
This is Paranormal Punches, where we talk about all things paranormal with a lighthearted approach. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the Enfield Poltergeist. This was requested by Willie from Three Spirited. In fact, last Wednesday, we usually do happy hour. Back in the day, we'd always do Wednesday happy hour at Funk in person. But now we're using Skype, trying to keep it going. And for some random reason, I decided to invite other people to join us. So Willie, all the way from UK, jumped on. Paul and Anna from Saturday Adventures, they're up in New York. They jumped on. Andy, she's out in California. She jumped on. And, of course, Lish and I and Dave were able to all make this call. So it was a ton of fun.
It was.
I never told Dave what was happening. So he just saw all these people. He had no clue. But he just went with it.
Right, yeah. Yep, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, and I mean, I actually showed up for something. So, it was a success in its own right.
Right.
It was. Called in from the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
And we'll try it again when Nash isn't at work, so he can jump on too.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I need to be there.
I'm surprised you. Just Skype in from work. They'll never know.
They'll never know. They'll never know. And they won't mind the beer that I have to sneak in to be a part of it. They won't mind. It's okay.
Just tell them, I'm doing business.
Well, I'll just put it in like a Turkey Hill, 64-ounce soda cup.
Classy, nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you put it in a cup and you write essential on it, I'm pretty sure they can't question it.
Right.
Yeah, I'll write you a note that you can show them too.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. From Dr. Mark saying this is okay. This is not illicit. This is not illicit. This is good stuff. It's practically sanitizing.
Yeah, it's pre-workout.
That's right. Exactly.
All right, so this should be a fun episode. Why don't we get rolling with it? And as always, we start things off with listener feedback brought to you by Parabox Monthly this time. That's right.
Yeah.
They got some wicked T-shirts that have like a whole mystery inside, and you can solve a mystery. It's a monthly delivery service. You can get it. But I bought one, and you still get to play the mystery, and you still get to wear these awesome design T-shirts. Parabox Monthly. Go check them out. Use our code PUNCHERS. And you save 10%.
Yep.
All right, a little live impromptu read there. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just opened my mouth, and that started to come out. So, all right, so here we go. Listener feedback. We heard from Jules. Paranormal Punchers used to get me through my work night, but now they are getting me through quarantine. I've listened to almost every single episode, and I'm always smiling and feel like I'm amongst friends. P.S. I have also been to Winchester Mansion. I had a very odd experience there.
Oh.
Well, thanks, Jules. I'm glad we're getting you through quarantine.
I know.
And you are a friend. Heck, maybe we can get you on a Skype call when we have another happy hour. And
yeah, definitely.
Please email us what happened at the Winchester Mansion.
For sure.
All right, we heard from Kevin J. So there's a documentary about UFOs and Bigfoot on Amazon Prime. It's interesting, and I think they have some neat ideas that y'all touched on, and some I don't believe you touched on. I think it would be a good thing to check out if you guys wanted to go to backtrack to the subject of Per Nash. Bigfoot is the UFO garbage man.
Yes. Yes.
Have a good one and stay safe. You help keep this essential worker going. Thanks for everything. Well, thanks, Kevin J. Got to check that documentary out because I'm really curious to see how they have the same concept as Nash with Bigfoot being a garbage man.
Yeah.
I mean, more of just a cleanup crew, kind of like a disaster relief, so to speak.
So he's a cleaner. When something goes wrong, they call him Bigfoot.
That's right.
He scrubs it, no evidence left.
He's like the serve pro of the paranormal world. He shows up after a disaster, cleans it up. Disaster reclamation. I think that's a pretty good gig.
I would. I can't pull it up right now, but that is not what you said back on the episode.
I might be sugarcoating it a bit.
Yeah, no, you were definitely trying to instigate a fight. He kept saying he just comes, he just collects trash. I think is sort of what you said.
Well, to take it away, to put it with the other trash. I mean, it's not like he's sleeping on it or anything, or he's not doing anything like that. But
But maybe he has like one of these shows on the Home and Garden television network where they find trash, fix it up, and then sell it for 3 or 4 times. If they bought it or if they found it for free actually in the trash.
Right.
Because during the quarantine, we've been watching some shows like that.
Oh, yeah.
That brings up an interesting concept. So aliens would have much more advanced technology in order to get here. But are they picking up our trash and taking it back and improvising what they could do in their, decor? What do they picking up of ours and using in their homes to make things look nice and whatnot?
Or the flip side of that would be maybe if there was a piece of trash, UFO trash that Bigfoot didn't pick up, somebody picked it up, and that's how we have things like Velcro. And we have other advancements in our society that were really leftover trash from an alien society that Bigfoot missed.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the idea of them collecting things here, and that's how they decorate their home. And it becomes like vintage Earth item.
Exactly. Yeah. There's also the whole the skeptic in me, not skeptic. Whatever. Thinking of what if we have things we've created, but we don't even realize the power of them, and they come here collecting them because they're using them for their society for good, and we don't even know what we've done so far.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
like Febreze.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It could be an aphrodisiac on other planets.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Oh, boy.
Or cure diseases.
That's what I'm saying. They have an alien something or other, like a cut on their alien arm, and they spray a little Febreze on it, and it heals right up.
There you go.
You never know. See?
Now, wanted to give an extra shout out to Kevin J. He's been dropping a lot of movie reviews in the Paranormal Punchers group on Facebook. So if you're in the group, check it out. A lot of fun stuff. All right, we heard from Gabriel. Hey, guys and gal. I've listened since day one. You guys are the best dysfunctional podcast, adult story time, out there. I am writing to tell you about an experience my son and I had this past Friday. We were walking by a cemetery in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and my son says, "Dad, look at that dude in the suit over by the gravestone." I looked over and didn't see anyone. He said they stood up and vaporized.
What?
We walked over and saw 2 footprints in the wet grass. If I had my phone, I would have taken a picture. Thought you might enjoy this. My son is still kind of freaked out. Have a great day. And then, P.S., glad you enjoyed the sheep squatch. Gabriel was the one who suggested that. And then, P.P.S., what about the Wendigo as a new arch nemesis of Frank?
Oh, yeah. Nice. I like that.
Mm-hmm. That would be excellent. I would love, if we ever get around to finishing the comic book. I think that'd be, pretty cool.
Yeah. And I have to say thank you for listening from episode 1. I mean, while episode 1, I think we've talked about this before, is dear to my heart, it really wasn't that great of an episode. So if you stuck with it since then, awesome.
Right.
It's gotten much better since then.
Right. Hey, that's why we got to revisit some of those topics. But still, you know what?
Yeah.
They're near and dear to my heart because we did it. We put it out there, and now we're here.
Yeah.
And we hear from people like Big Arm Bomber. I don't know if he works out. Big Arm Bomber. Going back and enjoying past episodes. Fun podcast. He left this message on the Green Children of Woolpit on YouTube.
Oh.
Because I also blast the podcast to YouTube as a video, but there's nothing happening. You just listen to it.
Right.
Thanks, Big Arm Bomber. Appreciate it. We heard from Art Designs 305. Since the pandemic of this coronavirus, have you noticed that the paranormal reportings have dropped a bit, or is it just me because I'm down here in Miami? I have noticed some weird shadow people going on the past years in my place. It's been freaking me out, but it stopped a few weeks ago. Good for me, I guess. What are your thoughts? Pudding Skin Army all the way.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
I imagine they've gone down quite a bit because there haven't been a lot of people outside, or everybody's kind of staying inside. And if people realize if they're having paranormal experiences inside their house, it's time to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I was thinking the same thing. You'd find other, hauntings and things like that in more of the commercial buildings and the old hotels and psychiatric asylums, things like that. But, it sounded like experiencing it at home, and that's gone down in the past couple of weeks. And I wonder if there's like a certain threshold that spirits are aware of. Like, we can only push this person so far before they're going to crack, and we're not going to do anything right now. COVID's enough for them to worry about.
Exactly.
We'll back off.
Interesting, because I was like, maybe the shadow people are like, look, we're quarantined too. Everybody stay home.
Yeah, true.
So when things get back to normal, we can mess with Art Designs again. Don't worry. Yeah, I don't know. You're right, but sometimes when there's a lot of negative energy, so you're trapped in your home, you're going a little bit stir crazy. You think that might amp up a little bit of the paranormal, because you're already starting to be at a very your anxiety levels through the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have obviously I'm no expert. We haven't had a lot of shadow people around here for a while either.
Yeah.
Maybe they all went home.
Yeah, maybe.
They delivered COVID and they left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's not what happened. And just another shout out to Art Designs. He designed this really cool Rougarou Brew logo. Hopefully I can put it up on the T-Public, and you can get a T-shirt with his badass design on it. Thank you so much, Art Designs.
Nice.
All right, we heard from Robert. Hey, guys. I was just looking for some cryptids from my hometown of Elkhart, Indiana, and found one that I never knew. It's called the Cable Line Monster. Thought this might be interesting. If you're interested in that, me and my sister have our own paranormal group, and she still lives there and is looking up about... Got tongue-tied. Thank you, Funk. Looking up more information, trying to get more information for the group. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. Cable Line Monster.
No.
It sounds pretty cool. And if she's looking up info, please let us know what she finds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your monster? Where to find them? Ooh, look at that. There is a thing, a cable line monster. Wow. Go figure. Thanks, Google.
I love your internal monologue that was actually you're voicing it.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
I have no.
Yeah, your mic was
monologue.
on. We heard from on Twitter, Fly Finchy Fly. And this was a response to our last episode we posted. I can't wait to listen. Even during this time of social distancing, when I listen to you guys, it's like being at the bar with best friends talking about the paranormal. Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, at Finch Crew. Thanks, Finchy. Appreciate it. And let's see, there's a little follow-up to his post. Let's see. Who is that? I got cut off here, but this person said, yes, this. When telling people about paranormal punchers, I catch myself saying, my friends that have a podcast. Well, we are your friends.
Right.
I think that's Christina, judging by the little photo.
I think it is.
It was a screenshot of the Twitter and the name got cut off. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
And let's see. All right. Oh, okay. So, yeah, because this is important. And Finchy replied to that comment, "We love you guys, too. You're family to me. Well, you're family to us." And I'm so thankful I found you guys and the amazing Paranormal Punchers family. I hope everybody feels that way. Mm-hmm. Frank the Bigfoot is going to kick this virus's ass.
Yep.
I wish.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. We heard from Booger Vision. You heard that, right? Booger Vision. Hey, guys. I just checked out your Hound of Goshen episode. I did one on it myself last week. I live in the next county over, so I drove out to the Ebenezer Church Cemetery and caught a weird, misty figure near Dr. Douglas's grave. It is creepy. It's a creepy area, no doubt. Anyways, I enjoyed the episode. Take care. Thanks, Booger Vision. And he did include a photo, and now you guys can't see it because you're on Skype.
Right.
But yeah, there's and if you're listening to a podcast, you can't see it. But yeah, you can see this little.
You mean everybody besides you?
Yeah. Well, Alicia and I.
Yeah.
But no, he took a picture of this gravestone,
right.
and you can see a little mist there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll post this in the group.
Yeah.
And then a link so they can go check out what Booger Vision was up to. We heard from Birdie Cuda. Fun fact: in Washington State, if you kill a Sasquatch, it's considered homicide. Thank you. Thanks for the fun fact. Funk fact. Okay, let's see. This is another one from Fly, Finchy Fly. This is in response, I think, someone else posted. But would you rather, Dave and Nash play along, would you rather get abducted by aliens or Bigfoot?
Bigfoot.
Aliens.
Okay.
The sign on my rear says "Do not enter."
I just want to see outer space.
I'm with Dave on that one.
I do not want to get probed. I don't care what the probe is. I don't want to get probed.
Now, Finch went with Bigfoot. I'm going to go with Bigfoot. Aliens would do too many experiments, but Bigfoot would be a chill dude.
Well, it'd be stinky, but, I mean, you could probably hang out in the woods with them. You know, and since I'm half Bigfoot anyway, it'd be like any other day for me.
All right, so I want to follow up Finchy's comment. We heard from Fred2513. Just listen to the show. You guys are great. I'm a devoted listener. I have an idea for the show to add to your many requests. How about the dark side of Bigfoot? Many accounts of Bigfoot going after and killing people. So maybe hanging out with Bigfoot is not that chill.
Yeah.
But that's a good topic idea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, but I also think that if you're hanging out with Bigfoot in the woods, if you just were able to stinkify yourself, then it might be enough to confuse Frank to think that you're not some humid. Yeah, to not kill you. You may be like, he's just confused. You know, whereas aliens, they're just gonna start sticking stuff in you. That's just no way about it.
Do you think one alien race came here and gave all of them a bad name?
Oh, man. You know that.
It's like the Greys show up and they do all kinds of crazy stuff.
I don't even think it's a full alien race. I think they just had one, scouts that was like, oh, we're going to do this instead. And
check this out. We're gonna do this to this one guy. Watch this.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. I like that. All right, we are going to wrap this up with a comment from Dusty. Hey, guys. Yes, in that voice. So we were watching the Skinwalker Ranch show. Really interesting. When my brother looked at me and said the Indians were skinwalkers. What if Bigfoot is a skinwalker? When he dies, he turns back into a man. I was inebriated, but after I thought about it, that would explain so much. That's why they can't identify the hares as human or any other animal when they go out to catch one. They're hunting a man who knows how to hide from other men and then thinks like them. And that's why they never find a body, because Bigfoot turns back into a human. So they're
okay.
Interesting.
And Dusty says, I like the alien idea you guys mentioned, but I personally think this one is cooler. Thanks and love the show.
Aww.
Thanks, Dusty. Appreciate it. I don't know. There was a movie called Primal Rage where they had like a Bigfoot type creature, but it was the movie kind of had like a Native American lore or myth as part of it, almost like these were witch doctors that went out and kind of turned in to a Bigfoot. So I don't know. I mean, it's certainly a very interesting concept.
For sure.
Was it like a skinwalker, like an Indian who tried to turn into something else and was thus just not very good at it and got stuck in like the middle ground, which is Bigfoot?
Would Bigfoot be the middle ground?
Well, I don't know if there's no other creature like Bigfoot. What? Maybe he was trying to turn into a bear or something like that, and got stuck in between, mid Hulkify.
Well, there's a lot of Native American legends where they show where the Sasquatch, they knew of it. They even have partied with it. I don't know too much about it. Gosh, I should research. It sounds so interesting. So maybe they already knew what it looked like. They have knowledge, so they're able to, transform into that. I don't know, a coyote or Sasquatch. Which one would you skinwalk as? Well,
and there have been many questions, and many times that we've talked about if you could transform into something, would you stay in that form? If you could go into the werewolf form, and if you come back to being a human and going back and forth. Would you just stay in that form? And what if it was like that, where they turn into a Sasquatch and they're like, you know what? I'm good. I'd prefer to be like this.
Right.
I don't know. Lish, if you could transform into any creature, what would you go with?
I'd probably go with one that could fly.
Okay.
So maybe an eagle.
Okay. Majestic. Mm-hmm. Pretty big.
Yeah.
But then you'd be stuck grabbing rabbits and eating them raw. I mean, I guess you could snatch a cheeseburger out of somebody's hand.
True.
Outside of McDonald's. Just wait.
That's a seagull.
No, there's no reason an eagle can't, wait outside of McDonald's and snag a whole bag.
Yeah.
Dave, what would you go with?
I'd probably also go with something that flies. Some sort of a, hunting bird, falcon, eagle, owl. And, yeah. But, I mean, no matter what animal you pick, if you're a carnivore, you're going to be eating raw rabbit.
Right.
That's pretty much a go-to.
Okay. Nash, what about you?
Probably just pick a house cat.
Okay.
Interesting. I did not picture you going for a house cat. Why? Just because you're going to get spoiled and you can be lazy and...
Yeah, I wish that my cat has got the best life in the world, man. Are you kidding me? He doesn't do anything. He sleeps half the day. He eats, and you wake up and you play with him and pet on him. And then if he bites you, you just go, oh, whatever. He's just a crazy cat. And then he goes off and does his thing. It's a life for me.
All right, now you just skinwalked into everything you said. Would you stay in those forms forever?
No, probably not.
Well, I don't know if I could be a house cat and speak English. That would be nice.
Yeah.
You'd have your own late night show and everything.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the old saying, you never know what it's like till you walk a mile in somebody's shoes.
True.
I think being an eagle would be kind of cool, or an owl or falcon or whatever.
Right.
But until I've flown a mile in their wings, I really don't know what it's like. And yeah, maybe it's really hard. Maybe it's the most awesome thing in the world. So I couldn't say if I'd stay there forever till I experienced it.
Right.
Yeah, I would think werewolf would be rad. But I was thinking like a grizzly bear when they're grabbing salmon, like when the salmon are doing their swim up to, make other salmon little babies, and they're grabbing them out of the water, like fresh sushi style. Like that'd be rad. Yeah, I'm down with that.
But that's one good time. Being a bear the rest of the time isn't that great.
How do you know? You got to walk a mile in their shoes.
Well, but just watching the nature shows, I mean, people trying to hunt you, and then like the whole hibernation thing, you got to eat a whole bunch of leaves and twigs and stuff to plug up your butt so that you don't poop while you're hibernating.
What?
Good point, Dave. Good point. That's the anti-vegan recipe right there.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Paranormal Punches.
Wow.
Boy.
On that note, why don't we, and we do have a couple listener stories for the second half, but why don't we move on from twigs and leaves to block things up to the Enfield Poltergeist. Lish, help us out.
All right. So the Enfield Poltergeist, also called the Enfield Haunting, is considered one of the most recognized cases of paranormal activity in the world. Between August 1977 and September 1978, there were reports of poltergeist activity that took place at 284 Green Street, Brimsdown, Enfield, England, with an added outburst of poltergeist activity August 1980. During the span of 3 years, a terrifying entity haunted the Hodgson. I don't know how to say their name. Hodgson family. A mother and her 4 children. The 4 children were Margaret, who was 12, Janet, who was 11, Johnny, who was 10, and Billy, who was 7. Paranormal investigators assisted the family and witnessed many of the strange and inexplicable activity the family claimed to experience. For several years after, the haunting held the nation spellbound, puzzling policemen, psychics, experts in the occult, and hardened reporters alike. It became one of Britain's most notorious haunting cases, spawning TV shows, books, and films. So to give you an idea of what actually happened, like how it started, on the evening of August 30th, Mrs. Hodgson heard Janet complaining from upstairs that her and her brother's beds were wobbling. Because she wanted them to go to bed, she yelled up at them to tell them to, like, stop messing around, go to sleep. So the following evening, Mrs. Hodgson heard a crash from upstairs. So she ran upstairs, went in the bedroom, and saw a chest of drawers slide across the floor away from the wall. She pushed it back, but found that each time she slid the chest of drawers back, it propelled itself back forward towards her. Suddenly, loud knocks began emanating from the walls of the home. Frightened, as you would be at that point, the family went next door to get their neighbor, Vic. I think he was like a construction worker or something of that nature. He was a very big, burly man. He later told reporters, "I went in there and I could make out these noises. There was knocking on the wall, in the bedroom, on the ceiling. I was a bit frightened." So, like, this big guy, he was terrified. Now, the police were called in, and one of them actually witnessed the furniture moving across the room. In her report, she wrote, "A large armchair moved, unassisted, 4 feet across the floor." The police, they carefully examined the furniture and couldn't explain how objects were, like, moving across the room by themselves. So finally, they left the home and they told them, "Listen, no laws are being broken, so there's nothing we can really do to help you guys. You're on your own."
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're on your own, guys.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, there's nothing illegal happening here, so, well.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Just to jump in quick,
yeah,
if
go
this
ahead.
is starting to sound a little familiar, that's because it's the basis of the Conjuring 2.
Yes. So after that night, bizarre events in the home, it increased. So, like, it was constantly happening at that point. Reports of the activity attracted a lot of visitors, like mediums and members of the press. So they were getting their story out. They were letting people know, like, this is what's happening in our home. Please help us. More than 30 people witnessed the strange incidents that occurred inside that home. Eventually, the haunting was investigated by Maurice, Grosse, and Guy Playfair. They were both members of the Society for Psychical Research. They were convinced by the evidence which they encountered during their 13-month investigation. They reported witnessing various phenomena. Oh, sorry. my page like super increased on me, and I was like, oh my gosh, where am I at?
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Sometimes using the iPad, things happen.
I know. Sorry. So they saw a bunch of stuff happening, including the moving furniture. There were flying marbles, like just going through the air. There was cold breezes. Shallow pools of water would just appear on the floor. And then fires, which would spontaneously ignite and then extinguish themselves. Grosse, he said, as soon as I got there, I realized that the case was real because the family was in a bad state. Everybody was in chaos. When I first got there, nothing happened for a while. Then I experienced Lego pieces flying across the room and marbles, and the extraordinary thing was, when you picked them up, they were hot. I was standing in the kitchen, and a T-shirt leapt off the table and flew into the other side of the room while I was standing by it. Now...
A T-shirt.
A T-shirt. And I don't think it was just T-shirts, like pillows, some other just random objects would just kind of... they would.
Well, I know if you step on a Lego, it's one of the most painful things in the world. Imagine they're flying across the room and hitting you in the eye and stuff.
And they're hot to boot.
And they're hot.
Right. Or just flying across the room and you don't recognize it, and as you decide to get up and walk, all of a sudden there's Legos where you weren't expecting them and stepping on them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely mischievous.
Oh,
and marbles are like little musket balls. I mean,
yeah.
So
I'm wondering if his shirt flew off across the room and the clothes were flying around and they were hot.
Well, I don't think the clothes were hot. I think it was just like the marbles, and I thought they said the Legos were also kind of hot to touch, but
not the T-shirts.
Yeah, not the T-shirts, because they would just.
So not from Hot Topic.
No.
Don't take my joke. Oh man, I was going to build up to that too. You really stole my thunder on that one, Mark.
My bad. You want me to rewind and we can start?
That's right. Oh, jeez.
See, I thought you were going more for the let's put the poltergeist to work and do the whole laundry, drying,
permanent press.
Right.
Yeah, and there's an extra fee for ghost creases. I mean, I was going this whole Hot Topic ghost thing. Man.
So to give you some of the other things that kind of happened in this home, so I brought up the furniture moving around on its own. Knockings on the wall would be heard. Now, the whole family, they actually witnessed apparitions and faces appearing in the windows and mirrors. One day, Grosse, who was the one paranormal investigator, he witnessed one of the children pinned to the bed screaming, "I can't move. It's holding my leg." Family and investigators, they wrestled the child from the invisible grip, and all involved, they insisted that it was the grip of very strong, invisible hands. Now, to give you guys an idea, though, so I'm a phlebotomist, so I draw blood from adults, children, all of them. And when we have kids come in, it is amazing how unearthly strong they are. So
they're little animals.
Yeah,
they're
crazy.
animals. That's what it is. They're learning how to be humans. That's what I always thought from being a dad.
Yeah, it's insane how strong they are. So we have to have multiple people holding one 6-year-old kid down so that we can get blood drawn from them. So I'm not going to say that this was this is possible because kids are very strong. Anyway,
they're super strong. They're oddly strong.
Yeah,
that's
that's what I wanted to bring up. Now, Grosse, he also detailed the destruction of the girl's 300-pound fireplace in October of 1977. He explains he heard loud banging followed by the feeling of shaking, like the house was moving.
That's from the loud banging, if you know what I'm saying.
Yikes. From the kids'
Case
room?
solved.
Okay. By the time that he reached the girl's bedroom, the fireplace had wrenched itself out of the wall.
The fireplace is over there vomiting.
Well, it vomited itself from the wall. It ripped a solid metal pipe in half. So it came off the wall, like it's just crazy, like what actually happened. Janet Hodgson, she appeared to be possessed, often going into violent trances, moaning, and in one case she levitated across the room. She also would, on many occasions, speak in a very deep male voice for hours at a time. After the BBC went into the house, the recording crew found that the metal inside of the recording machines had bent and the recordings had been erased. I did talk about Legos and marbles that would drop from the ceiling. They'd be hot. Matches would light themselves. Now, here's a couple interesting things. Dogs could be heard barking where there were no dogs around. So that's weird. And then the last one that I have, excrement would appear in inappropriate places.
From the ghost dogs.
Yeah, I'm assuming. So
the hounds of
I
hell.
convince my wife of that all the time. Yeah. I have no idea that how that ended up there. It wasn't me. Okay.
Right.
You sleep?
Now,
do you sleep poop, Nash? Is that what you're saying? Do you sleepwalk and drop a deuces?
It's in funny places and places it shouldn't be. And I got to tell you, it's really annoying about the poltergeist poop activity that sometimes occurs in random places in our house.
Dave.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
So, random phantom ghosts aren't normal for poltergeists, right?
Phantom what?
Dogs.
Okay. Yeah.
So they it's everything's pointing to this being a poltergeist type scenario, but the barking dogs that don't really exist anywhere, that's not a poltergeist.
No.
That's something else.
I think we're dealing with a demon.
That's going to be my question at the very end of this, but I'm pretty sure that it's poltergeist activity, but also I think there might be a combination of ghost haunting or demon haunting. So that's just my
As everyone
thought.
knows, I didn't do any research, so I'm just coming up with this on the fly.
Well, I've got a
Sorry
question.
if I steal anybody's stuff.
No.
Nash.
Got a question for you. Is that I'm going to thinking about this whole fireplace thing and the tearing of the metal around the fireplace or the flue, whatever, for the fireplace, and I'm also thinking about the fact that weren't the kids they were like 11 and 13? They were pretty young kids.
Yeah.
Now, my son is 13 years old, and I mean he's pretty good size for his age, but pulling a fireplace off the wall and actually bending and breaking the metal associated, and like what was it, a chest of drawers, or what was it? What was the, not like an armoire, but what was it that you said that?
Basically, a chest of drawers. So
for something like that to constantly be sliding across the room and moving across the room, I mean, he could do it. But I'm just thinking about like the strength capacity of your normal 13-year-old. Mm-hmm. That's not something that can just kind of happen. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially without great noise and he would. I'm just thinking like, because I mean I would imagine there are people down the road that came and tried to debunk this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just thinking about what it would take to to pull a 300-pound fireplace out of the wall.
Right.
That's like heavy tools and stuff. That's not something that's easy.
Yeah. So I think you have some audio from this. So let me go over what you're going to be playing or whatever. But during the investigation, Grosse, he challenged the poltergeist to speak to him through Janet. The poltergeist had a habit of making jokes, but he also had a very nasty temper, choosing to swear at Maurice, once calling him a effing old sod. Eventually, the spirit revealed itself to Grosse as a man named Bill Watkins. In a chilling message...
I thought it was Bill Wilkinson.
Well...
That's what it was in The Conjuring, too.
I think it's everything I had was Watkins, but close. Yes.
Okay.
In a chilling message from the grave, the man described in graphic detail the moment of his death. Just before I died, I went blind, and then I had an hemorrhage, and I fell asleep, and I died in the chair in the corner downstairs. A few weeks after Bill revealed himself, a man who is Terry Watkins, he contacted Grosse and claimed to be Bill's son. He had heard the recording on the radio and was shocked to hear his father's voice. Terry Watkins confirmed that his father had died in the house the same way that the spirit had said he had. Yeah. So do you have that audio? Just so you could hear like how she sounded when she was channeling this poltergeist.
So I don't have the exact thing where he says,
right.
Trying to find a decent version to play in the podcast that doesn't make everybody throw their device through a window was tough. But I got one here. It's interesting. Now, the thing is, like, this is Janet. She's 11 years old. And if you look at pictures of her, it's a sweet little innocent-looking girl, but the voice that's coming out of her, it's just crazy. So bear with it a little bit here while it gets going. But why don't we listen?
Mr. Grosse! Quick! Mr. Grosse!
Yeah.
Oh, something. I was in the drawer. I'm so excited.
Who?
Oh, my God. My soul, Margaret. She was not in this.
Margaret what?
She's not this. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Bye.
How he did that. Now, you're going to tell me how you knocked that settee over. Come on, tell me how you knocked it over.
By the bottom.
You what? You got it what?
Pulled it by the bottom.
Yes.
Underneath.
Underneath it, yes.
Yes.
And what did you do? Then what did you do?
Make Janet come in the room first.
Why did you have to make Janet come in the room first?
So she gets the blame.
So she gets the blame?
Yes.
Could you do it if Margaret came in the room first?
Might be her.
Or if Mrs. Hodgson came in the room first, could you do it then?
No, she's too old.
She's too old. Could you do it if I came in the room first?
No.
Well, what's age got to do with it? What difference does it make how old?
Take energy from young people, not old ones.
Oh, you only take energy?
Yes.
Why can't you take energy from old people?
I use it all in the day.
Pardon?
I use it all.
Oh, old people use more energy during the day. And do young people store it up then?
Yes.
How do you take their energy?
Electric shock.
You take it by electric shocks?
Mine.
Do you take electrical energy then?
Yes, I can.
If you can?
I can take electric.
You can take electrical
Yes.
energy? If you don't take the energy, could you tip the settee up if you didn't take the energy?
No, I couldn't.
You couldn't
Impossible.
do it? Impossible?
Yes.
You always have to use energy from people?
Yes.
Can't you take energy from anything else?
No.
You can't?
No.
What else can you do with energy?
Tip the chairs over, pull the plugs out.
Yeah, but you can do other things, can't you?
Purple.
Now, the voice that sounds like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings,
Right.
that's coming out of Janet.
Yeah.
And the other voice is Maurice, who's starting to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But it's explaining how, really scary. But it said it like the young people can pull the energy out.
Right.
So this thing is using the energy of Janet and speaking through her, but also I'm assuming causing all this havoc in the house.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how many times that she talked as Bill, but they caught quite a few of them on camera. But anyway, so at least 26 of the events that the investigators that they caught, they considered them, they could not account them for any kind of fraud. So, like, this is actually something that happened. The movement of small, large objects, they were like, we don't really know how this is happening. We don't see, lines attached to them that people are pulling. The pools of water on the floor that would just show up, they weren't really sure where that came from. I guess there was a lot of equipment malfunctions and failures, spontaneous combustion, bunch of weird stuff.
Of items, right? Not a person.
No, yeah, just of the items.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's pretty hardcore, Mark. Wow.
I know.
Well, no, that's a thing. The human spontaneous combustion. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Then a lot of the knocking that was going on in the house, they really could not figure out where that was coming from, because it would be on the ceiling, then it would be in the walls. Like there was no they couldn't figure out it wasn't a manual thing. Like people weren't banging on the other side of the wall.
Well, Maurice has recordings where he was using the knocks
Yes.
as a 1 for no and 2 for yes. And having a whole kind of dialogue with whatever entity was in this house.
Yeah. Now, there were other investigators that concluded that the children, they had faked this activity. Because they did find that Janet and I think the other girl, they were bending spoons themselves. They did admit that they had fabricated a couple of the occurrences, but that they were trying to get Grosse to figure out whether it was true or not. I don't know where that came from, but it was almost like they were testing him. Like, can you tell what's fake and what's not? Some felt that it was an elaborate prank. Now, they also found a torn-out magazine article in the house, and it was about Matthew Manning, who was another kid that was dealing with poltergeist phenomena. Manning's mom had reported that the first strange event in their house was the disappearance of a teapot, and that happened to be one of the very first things that happened in Enfield as well. So they're almost thinking that maybe Janet or all of them were trying to replicate what happens with poltergeists. So they weren't actually experiencing it; they were fabricating it.
Because they heard about this teapot event.
Yeah, they heard that, and then when when Grosse came in, he had mentioned, lots of times there's fires that start. Shortly after that, that's when fires started. So they almost felt like maybe because they didn't really know these kids didn't know what poltergeists could do. Once they were told certain things, then they started doing that.
Yeah, but if somebody tells you that this poltergeist ripped the fireplace out, that's going to be really hard for an 11-year-old girl to try to...
True.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying was there's one thing between, bending some spoons and trying to fake somebody out versus moving chests and drawers and pulling fireplaces out of the walls and stuff. You know what I mean? That's a whole other thing entirely.
Now, there's a lot of photos of her kind of supposedly supposed to be levitating. But, some comments are, looks like she just kind of jumped on her bed and they captured the photo while she was just hanging 10 in the air. It's really hard to tell from the picture.
Right.
If she just didn't jump and get one, like in weddings, everybody has to do the jump picture.
Right.
That's what they look like.
No, okay. So I saw those in my,
Your research?
Yes. And, the first question I had is in the 70s, late 70s, what typically of a normal person's camera that they could get a hold of, what was the focal length that they would run so that, were they capturing enough, such a split second in time that it would look like that, or would they be blurred because it would capture more light? And
Oh, I'm with you.
know.
What was the frame rate?
Yeah.
Or what? Not
Frame rate,
Or,
yeah, not
whatever focal, whatever it's called with camera.
The aperture speed.
Aperture.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so I remember growing up, in the 80s as a kid, the cameras were all terrible.
Yeah,
any
they
pictures of me as a young kid when I'm running around are blurry because I was moving too fast for what the camera could just snap in time.
Right.
Or you're possessed, and so
or I'm possessed, and Maybe that explains a lot.
Or you're turning out of your Bigfoot or out of your Hollow Earth form,
right? Yeah,
moving it across, and that's a hard picture to get. We all know that.
Yeah. So this was the 70s. They had, even if you look at they had like reel-to-reel tape recording equipment.
Yeah.
So, but I still think at the time cameras, they had the capability of wide apertures and adjust the settings because all the photos that they have are pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad.
I'm no camera historian or buff, but I think for a while the cameras have been able to dial in certain settings to capture that.
But was that the family's pictures, or was that the investigators' professional camera pictures?
I think it was the investigator.
Yeah, it was the crews. Yeah.
Okay.
They spent some money on gear.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But we really don't know because nobody thought that question would pop up today. Like, what kind of camera equipment?
Right.
Now, I do have something from a skeptic. He was talking about sleep paralysis because a lot of the things that happened to her happened when she was in bed. Like there was one time she felt like she was being stifled. Somebody had put a hand over her nose and mouth to stop her breathing, and she saw a old man sitting on a chair near her. Now with sleep paralysis, we've talked about this occasionally, but sometimes it's really hard to breathe. You panic, but also you can hallucinate. You can see things. So he was saying that maybe some of the things that she was seeing and experiencing was more sleep paralysis than anything else. But so that was just one guy saying that. But I feel like what they have determined is at least Grosse and his other investigator, they really feel like that this family was being haunted by something.
I feel like some of the YouTube stuff I was watching with Maurice, he was definitely convinced.
Yeah, he was convinced.
This was real. Mm-hmm. Now, Maurice wasn't the only paranormal investigator that showed up.
No.
The Warrens.
Yep, the Warrens showed up unannounced for one day.
And in the Rain showed up. Yeah. Now, in the Conjuring, too, they showed up. They left, and then Lorraine had like some type of vision. They went back and helped the family out.
Yeah.
That's a movie. In real life, they did not.
No, because I'm pretty sure they were trying to find a way to make money on this, and they left after a day. So I don't know what that means, but
so they just didn't find anything that they deemed.
And that's the thing, because I feel like
but Maurice stuck with it, and he
stuck around for 13 months, I guess.
He's passed on since I forget the date he passed on.
2006,
but the videos I was watching, he was still convinced that this was a real haunting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he was even talking about, because the girl was talking like that.
Right.
That he even had, like, talk to people, like speech therapists about how you could do that, and what that wreck your vocal cords after a while.
Right.
And how it's using a lower vocal cord, the kind that you use when you get, like, hoarse or strep throat or lose your voice, and you're kind of talking down here. So he just felt like, I just don't think this 11-year-old girl is...
right.
making that voice all her own.
No, and I'm sure some of the things that happened when you have all these people that are in your house, you're getting reporters coming. Like, eventually you probably want to, like, if nothing's happening and you want to show them something, some of these kids, they might have thought, oh, let me show you what the poltergeist has done. You know what I mean?
But if you look at the facts, all right, so we go back, the cops show up, and things are actually moving. They witness it, and they're like, they're out. We can't help you. But they went on, excuse me. I must have to start doing my Bill Wilkinson. They went on record, they said this. The neighbors, that the dude went over, and he was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't explain what he was seeing.
Right.
And Maurice was there for a while, like recording this stuff. He was convinced.
Oh, yeah.
Again, with the fireplace being ripped out.
Right, that's crazy.
Yeah, the photos, I think you can definitely capture photos of somebody jumping off their bed and catching them hanging 10 in air.
Right.
And say, hey, this was a photo of her levitating. And you could be like, BS.
Right.
But I don't know. The rest of the stuff, the recordings are very, like, here's an 11-year-old girl. Even if she could fake the voice and telling Maurice all this. But she's sitting there like, I like using younger people that I can use their energy. And he said, you can't use mine. He's like, no. He likes to, it's just like, yes, you can say an 11-year-old has a wild imagination, but they just seemed very dark and sinister.
And very specific.
And I only played a little bit. I mean, you can find clips out there where it is very, like, even some of the stuff about Bill Watkins and his life. Yes, you could say that she went to a library and looked some stuff up.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the skeptics had said that it couldn't have been her saying those words because her lips were barely moving.
Right.
And I get that her lips could have been just open, but the voice was. So unless you have some kind of a technology nearby, and this is in the 70s.
Yeah.
So unless you have some kind of a technology nearby, you're just going to be sitting there with your mouth open. If a voice is coming out, how are you going to fake something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, there was some reports that she was a ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she had to be a really, really good one. But so whenever you see a ventriloquist, how close is the person creating the voice? Usually if it's like a ventriloquist with their dummy or somebody throwing their voice, that other person creating the voice is extremely nearby. Or like with the whole levitating thing, they said that it couldn't have been her, or she couldn't have been levitating because she came from a school where she was the champion in athletics or something like that. It's like, well, that's great. I mean, I can, I get that you can jump in the air and take a picture of it, but the voice thing.
Yeah. There was a lot of weird things that happened.
And some of them are if that had happened and these skeptics were to come forward now and this had just happened, then I could even say, you know what, you can put a mic in a room and the mic is going to be the size of a pinhead. It can be anywhere. It can be behind somebody's headboard or whatever.
Right.
But this is like the 70s.
Anybody do a Where Are They Now?
Yes.
Ooh, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the brothers, he actually died when he was 14 from cancer.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I know. The mom, she died in 2003, but she actually stayed in that house that whole time. So, like, once, was it 1980? When's the last time anything ever happened? It pretty much just stopped. All activity stopped in that house. So I'm not really sure what happened. But after the mom died, the house was briefly occupied by a mother of 4 who stated, I didn't see anything, but I felt uncomfortable. There was definitely some kind of presence in the house. I always felt like someone was looking at me. Her sons would wake up in the night and they would hear people talking downstairs. She then found out about the house's history. Suddenly, it all made sense to me. So the family moved out after just 2 months of being there. But
what about the little girl? Where's she?
She's married. I think she has some kids. I think her husband's like a retired milkman, I think is what I found.
Okay. You said that the one brother died at 14 of cancer? What was his age during this time frame?
I feel like that was the 10-year-old. The 10-year-old, or was it the 7-year-old? I can't remember. It was one of the brothers.
During this time frame, he would have had cancer and probably known about it.
Right.
I mean, that's one of those emotional stresses that can open people up to things happening to them, whether of the normal world or the supernatural world.
Yeah. I think I had found one other thing that was talking about the mom died from cancer too. And then Janet, she had a couple kids. Her one boy, he died when he was 18 in his sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I didn't get any details as far as like what he died from. But so I don't know. Is the family being haunted, or like is it I don't know. Is it transferring to other homes now or just following the people? But that was a thought in my head. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like residual.
Yeah. There was a lot of it that, begged questions of could it be faked or not, but a lot of it that couldn't. It goes back and forth of what's going on here, and I think you touched on it, like being kids, they wanted to show this off. So when they're asked to show it and it's not happening right then, they weren't in control of these spirits. Right. They wanted to make something happen.
That's where the bending of the spoons and the things that the little things that somebody can do, just that's what that showed up. But these larger things, that's not just something that you fake.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I feel like the one girl, she had said that, we faked about maybe 2% of what was going on, but we wanted to make sure Grosse could figure out which one was real and which wasn't. I
was wondering if they didn't want him to leave.
No,
so they were still trying to cause some stuff, so he had to stick around.
Oh, maybe. Well, because I did read that Grosse and Janet, they actually became very close. Actually, and I thought about this too, because Grosse, his daughter, whose name was Janet, she passed away.
From what?
She was in like a car accident, I think.
Geez.
But
this story is so tragic.
No. Well, this happened actually before all this.
Okay.
Because he was an inventor, and then because she passed away, and him and his family, they started experiencing some just weird stuff, and it made him go down a rabbit hole, and he joined this group, this paranormal group. Yeah, and he started looking into this kind of stuff because he was like, there's more than what we know. Like when you pass, there's more to it. So he became very interested in everything. But anyway,
sounds like he could be his own episode.
For sure, I know.
For sure, yeah.
But I think that he became very close with Janet. And I don't know if it's because they had the same name, him and his daughter. I mean, Janet and his daughter. But I thought about that too. But
why don't we take a break? So we can come back with final thoughts, listener stories, and whatever other shenanigans we get into. We'll be right back. We're back. All right, that was very interesting. Willie, thank you so much for suggesting that. Willie from Three Spirited. I think he's got a lot of great stories to tell us. I think we got to get him on like a bonus episode or something. Yeah. Him and his squad. Willie, let me know if you'd be interested. That'd be awesome, man. All right. So, any final thoughts on that?
I feel like there were so many people that were skeptics on this. They would try to like find a way around, like, oh, this is how it happened. But the fact that so many people actually witnessed a lot of these like strange things happening. There was a paranormal investigator, Grosse. He was there for 13 months, and he was like fully invested in this. Like, I don't know. There was a lot of weird things that happened with this family, so I lean towards most likely it's true. Now, was Janet possessed by a demon, a ghost, or something else, or all of the above? Was the whole family being haunted by a poltergeist, but she was also being possessed? I don't know.
I tend to agree. I think that there could have been antics from kids who were trying to make something happen in a situation where nothing was happening. When it was like, this is go time, we need to show these people that there's something here. And, poltergeists being who they are or whatever they are, they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to mess with you on that level. But I got to tell you, to do some of these things that are happening, you can't get an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old to do these things.
Right.
I can't even get my son off the couch off of YouTube, for Pete's sake, not to help me move some furniture and nonetheless do a little demo work on a fireplace. Oh my gosh, that's not going to happen. And if you've ever had a chance to like talk like that, if you've ever like done that on purpose where you want to try to freak somebody out and talk really low and scary, you can try having a whole conversation like that.
I feel like I've tried to do my voice a little weird, and it doesn't last very long before.
Try it.
What?
Can you do it?
No, not well.
What was that?
I know.
You gave up too soon.
I know, because it sounded bad.
But it's like the kid from The Shining. If you do the whole Red Rum thing, like the kid from The Shining,
try that. I mean, try Red Rum, like the kid from The Shining.
I don't know.
Red Rum.
Red Rum. Red Rum.
Red Rum.
Okay, you're not going to be a voice actor anytime soon. We'll work on that though.
But
I'm scared.
they were having a whole conversation in the same voice. Like when we all just did it just now, there was pitch changes and us doing it and trying to get it to happen. And if you listen to that conversation, just that little bit, that was just a voice. That was just a solid voice all the way through. You have to be like a professional voice actor to be able to do something like that. I don't know. I think there's more there than what people are saying, and they're skeptics.
Then meets the eye.
Oh, nice. Things were transforming in front of us.
Okay.
I saw a couple of videos with Maurice, and he seemed like a straight shooter, like a solid dude. So I believe him. I believe that, at least I believe Maurice, what he was witnessing, capturing, that everything to him was honest and true. So it sounds terrifying. Obviously, we weren't around to be able to debunk it, but I'm going to go with Maurice. He looks like an honest dude. Like an honest dude.
I don't think the family profited from this either. Now, the one paranormal investigator, not Grosse, not Maurice, but the other one, he wrote a book. So I think he profited off of it. But everybody else, I don't think they made any money on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like that's a good move. If you investigated something like this, I'd write a book.
For sure.
I mean, I guess you are profiting, but you were there. You have this story to tell. So, yeah, I'm surprised Maurice didn't write a book.
I don't think he did.
He's got a cool name, too.
I know. I'm surprised he didn't, but... Yeah.
Although, Guy Playfair is pretty cool, too.
Yeah, he's the one that wrote the book.
Yep.
They call me Maurice. Wow.
So, I have, for the most part, I want to believe it's true. I believe that the kids, they did fabricate some of it, but again, it was probably, the teenage, I want to show what's going on, and I don't know how to express it any other way, so I'm going to make it up type of thing.
Right.
Which that's just bad decision making due to lack of experience type of thing. But the two things that really stand out to me that could be the faking of it. Number one is the sound clip that we heard. Every question was a leading question, and that's always a telltale for indirection from the truth. And so that worries me of, why did everything have to be indirection? Why couldn't it be, the how do you get your energy, as opposed to you can't get energy from adults? Yes. It's those kinds of things that stand out for me.
Okay.
And then the second thing was the concept around that whole voice thing. If teenagers can't already do this, how does a spirit take over a body? Because they need the body to make the voice. But if the human can't make the voice, how does the spirit make the human do the voice? So those are the two questions that I have, but I do feel like overall this is mostly true with some falsities.
Okay.
They did say that Nash, I think you said this, that her voice wasn't really, her lips weren't really moving.
Yeah.
So it begs to question, like, maybe it wasn't her voice. Maybe it was actually
it was the demon's voice.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's where I go to the, what is the possession side? Like, is it you? Why does the being that's trying to talk need the human vassal? What is the? Do they need the vocal cords? Do they need the lips? Obviously, they don't need the lips because the lips weren't moving. So, is it the vocal cords? Is it the lungs? Is it the simply using them as a speaker? So to speak, that they're just plugged in and that's the output.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe they're just the speaker.
Yeah.
That's why they need the vessel to
maybe the energy
to project the energy and I like that. That's why the voice would be so low.
Right.
And like this, and she doesn't move her lips. And how does this 11-year-old girl make that reverberation?
Right, because I will say that I listen to a lot of heavy metal, and in there you're going to find a lot of people, a lot of singers who can sing like that. They're getting down. The one term from the one band is guttural regurgitation is the way they sing. The way they're coming down from almost in their stomach to get the sound that they get. But I don't believe a teenager would necessarily do it, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
True.
But is it is it something else? Is it the demon taking over? Is it the poltergeist taking over? Or no, maybe they're just metal singers waiting to happen and they can do this. Yeah.
Well, and that takes me to something is like there was a question that came up during. I'm thinking about this the entire time we're talking. Is the difference between a poltergeist and a demon possession? Because as far as what I know and what I'm thinking that we know about poltergeists is they're not really malicious, but it seems that they're just there to scare people or to move stuff. But we hear about cabinets opening and closing. We hear about dishes moving, hats, gloves, TVs turning on. This is bigger than that. Some of the things that happen are larger in scale than that.
You can't get past that fireplace.
I can't. I really can't. And like a chest of drawers moving across the room, I'm going to hear about like a chair or a TV moving or things here and there getting moved, but we're talking seriously heavy things. And then for also, so putting that aside, to having ghost dog barks and ghost poops,
right.
And then the voices. I mean, how many times have we heard of a possession, not a poltergeist anyway, that is also possessing its host to speak through the host?
That's
so
true.
I'm leaning not so much to poltergeist, but more towards possession of a demon, or like or a djinn or a demon or something along those lines, instead of a poltergeist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it could be like brief moments of possession.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's bigger.
Yeah. And me being me, I can't remember what the episode was that we talked about poltergeist. If it was on poltergeist, it was something else. But the to that end, the learnings that I've always had on poltergeists are that it is the ability of a typically a teenage girl. It doesn't have to be that, but their expressions, their emotions able to manifest themselves in a supernatural way.
Yeah.
I know when we talked about it, I remember having this conversation on that episode where it's some other, otherworldly form inhabiting that poor girl or whomever, but that it's opposite of the way I've learned it, that the girl is manifesting their emotions into this otherworldly energy, and they're able to move chairs and turn on TVs and do those things. And I think that could explain part of it if that explanation is real.
Right.
That can explain part of this, of like, oh, when I'm frustrated, I can do these things. And, oh, no, the press wants me to do it on command, and I can't do it. So I'm going to bend the spoon and say, yeah, I did this type of thing. And, yeah.
But that and, like, moving a chest of drawers, I mean, that could be anywhere from what we would call a dresser to an arm, you know. I mean, that's a big item. Yeah, that's like Professor X, like spinning stuff around the room, kind of a thing. You know, that's kind of a different scope, a different scale. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, what if it was multiple things happening? So possession, but also she was having some poltergeist like abilities. Like, what if it was
multiple demons?
Yeah, it could be multiple demons too. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
And even if it was if she was manifesting poltergeist abilities, at the same time she was, due to if her brother was having cancer symptoms at that time, she was opened to the possibility of a demonic possession at the same time. Imagine the power of demonic possession at the same time you're a poltergeist.
Right.
Wait, her brother was going through cancer at the exact same time as this was happening?
Well,
we're not sure.
Yeah. He passed away when he was 14, and I think it's the 10-year-old. So only 4 years after everything kind of started for this family that he passed away.
I'm wondering if maybe this was a plea from a sister to a greater power and to help her heal her brother. I'll do whatever it takes to heal my brother. And something showed up and said, yeah, I can help you. Like maybe a demon hurt her, or I don't know. I just think that there could be something more than just a possession.
I don't think we'll ever know.
Yeah.
Never know. That's just it.
Very interesting. One more time, Willie, thanks for the topic idea, man. In fact, I think you suggested like a year ago, which is good. I mean, well, not good. Typical. Typical.
That's right.
For us. It takes us a year.
We're right on our turnaround time.
For sure.
Right. All right. Why don't we have 2 listener stories.
Okay.
Why don't we get to those? And who's going to go first, you or me? Dave, unless you want to read one.
I can, but I don't have it in front of me.
I wish the podcast listeners could just see that expression that just came across.
I was joking.
What?
I got a story here from Matthew Phelps. Isn't that the Olympic gold medal swimmer?
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, it's Michael.
Okay, my bad. No, we hear from Matthew. Matt_Will2000. He sent us a message on Instagram, actually pretty lengthy to be typing to an Instagram DM. But here we go. Hi. Love the podcast, and it sure is helping time go by during the quarantine. I have a story. It's not the most eccentric. I like to think of it as a humble, simple experiment. I was walking home with my friend Jack from a local train station around 11 p.m. We had attended a business expo in London as we lived close. We traveled together. On our walk home, we walked past this cemetery. I've walked past this many times, as it's the route I take every time I go to the pub with some friends. But this time, something unusual happened. The path is gravel, so there's plenty of little specks of stones and rocks on the path. We were minding our business, walking down the road chatting. There was a Men at Work sign in front of us on the ground. As we walked, we kicked little splashes of gravel with every step. This gravel would flicker in front of us and hit the sign, making a surprisingly loud yet distinct click-clack sound. As we were walking past the sign, we heard footsteps behind us. This wasn't unusual. I've seen many people walk down here late at night. At the time, my friend was trying to light a cigarette, so we stopped at the side of the road to let this person behind us pass, only to see there wasn't anyone. We were surprised. We assumed we heard something and maybe had mistaken. So my friend lights a cigarette and we begin to walk, only to hear the footsteps again behind us. And then we heard the distinct sound of the gravel hitting the roadwork sign behind us. We both stopped, We both stop in our steps and turn around, only to be greeted by the sight of nothing. At this point, we both knew that what we've heard. Confused, we turned and silently continued our walk. For around 1 minute, maybe 2, then we heard the sound of footsteps behind us. But as mysterious as they appeared, they disappeared. After a short silence, we started discussing what had happened. Mildly creeped out, the next day we attended the second half of the expo again. This time we didn't travel together. My friend Jack had other work to tend to, so he headed back on the normal time and made the walk alone. Fortunately for me, the walk was very normal. No noises, no sights, very casual. But I woke up the next day with several text messages from my friend. He had walked home around 3 a.m., and all the messages were describing how anxious he felt. As he walked home, he could hear what sounded like footsteps behind him. You know, the sound of gravel clipping the road sign. To this day, it's the only paranormal experience he can recollect. And I do believe him that he heard it again. Although he's a joker, he's not someone who believes in conspiracies or paranormal. He's a very facts and figures man. I've made the walk several dozen times since the event, and that was the only time it ever happened. It's a strange experience, but we're both sure that we heard this. Also, I want to explain my thought on wind theory. The sign was up for many months as the supermarket was being built opposite the cemetery during this time. I must have made this walk around 20 times, and only on that one occasion did I hear gravel hit the sign. And on other 100 occasions I made that walk, I've never heard that experience or heard footsteps behind me. Again, not the most interesting experience, but it's my only one, and I kind of wanted to just say it. Well, thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Sorry if I butchered the story reading it there. But yeah, we get it. They heard footsteps, turned around, nothing was there. Went to light a smoke and pulled to the side to let the person pass. There was no person to pass.
Right.
And to hear the exact same sound that you just made kicking rocks onto the Men at Work sign.
Right.
To hear that behind you, but there's no one there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his buddy did walk home without him alone at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 3 a.m. sounds one of those times of day that could be or times of night, day, morning, that could be almost in that witching hour.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
Yeah.
Now, see, 3 a.m. as you're quote unquote stumbling home with a buddy.
There was no quote stumbling.
No, I say stumbling home because at 3 a.m. if I'm walking anywhere,
you're stumbling.
I'm stumbling around. And occasionally, I mean, the only way I would ever debunk anything when it comes to sounds coming from behind you that sound kind of gravelly is every once in a while I do make sounds coming from behind me that sound kind of gravelly. But that is entirely different than hearing somebody in footsteps in gravel. So
you talking about your butt?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that anything following you is going to die.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You would look around and you would see nothing, and I wouldn't even look around because I'd be like, "Oh, don't even worry about it."
Dave,
I just feel better.
Dave, do you mean everybody behind Nash would be dying?
Yes.
Right? Because did you hear that you could pass COVID-19 through a fart?
No,
I did hear that.
Okay, so keep that in mind when you're farting and there's people behind you.
Oh my God.
Man, that's even more for social distancing. Like, yeah, you're keeping your space, but you're walking down a pathway together, like, grocery store aisle, whatever. Somebody lets one that could kill me.
It's a blast radius. It really is a blast radius these days. It really is. So now it's 6 foot blast radius.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would spook me out. If I hear somebody what sounds like walking behind me, I turn around and there's nobody there. That's even if I am stumbling home, that's when I start to walk a little faster and then a little faster, and if it's something continues on behind me and I can hear it, it's right there, and I turn around, there's nothing there, it's time to get up the boogie and get home. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. Like if you're walking home, and you know the sound of footsteps and you hear behind you and you move over So you can light a cigarette, let them pass. You're like, wait, there's no one there.
Yeah.
And then you hear it again as you continue. Like, that would definitely start to freak you out.
Yeah. Yeah, that would hit me. That would hit me pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I don't have the greatest of hearing, and I can't hear behind me really at all. That's why I never want to be in front of people, because I can't hear groups. So I always want to, take up the rear so I can just hear the group in front of me. But
We're so stupid. We laughed.
anyways, with this whole scenario, any kind of supernatural where there's something behind you, whether it's looking in a mirror and there's something, an entity behind you looking back, or whether, in this scenario where you're walking down a path and you hear people or something behind you with the gravel and everything, is to me the worst case scenario of, fear. Like, I don't want things behind me. If I hear something behind me, I'm going to be walking backwards down that path to watch what's going on.
Dave, I'm glad that just reminded me. So we have this legend here in Pennsylvania. There's a place called Toad Road. There's been a movie about it, a pretty weird movie, but Timothy Renner's written a few books, included that. But there's I forget the name of the creature, but anyway, if you're walking down Toad Road, the legend says to put your most fearless member at the rear of the group. Because whatever this creature is, it will come up behind the group and pace them and follow you. If you turn around and see it, it snatches you. So you got to put the person that won't flinch, won't turn around, and won't get scared until you can make it out of the woods, because he can't turn around for fear of getting taken by the look behind, or whatever the creature's called.
I would fail that. If I was in the back of that group, I would turn around in an instant and I'd be walking backwards and I'd be taken.
Right.
Well, but you wouldn't hear them behind you. You would just keep going. You wouldn't even notice. So
it's one of those, like,
it would literally be breathing on your neck.
If it got close enough, I would hear it. And I'm not deaf. It's more of like I can't hear, the nuances of what's going on behind me. So when I start to hear something behind me, it's like I instantly turn around because I got to know what's going on.
Yeah. So Dave, I'm with you. I was thinking if since you can't hear that well, we put you back there, but you're going to want to turn around.
Right.
I would put Lish, I think, would be the one who would protect the rear flank of the group. If we
No.
Here's what I'm saying, because she won't. She will get so petrified that she'll look straight ahead and won't flinch. She'll just look straight ahead, and we'll all make it out.
No, this is the way this. I like where your head's at, but there's one in our group that, with plenty of beer and with plenty of cheese products, really should be in the back, because he comes with a blast radius for anything coming from behind. I'm telling you.
All right, so that would be you, Nash.
Yeah.
So if we go investigate Toad Road, we need to give you beer and cheese.
That's it, and I'm good to go.
But you see, you and Mark, both of you, are too much I don't want to say paladin, because you're not necessarily lawful good, but you're close to that paladin. Like, there's evil behind us. We must seek it out. You're going to turn around, and then you're going to be snatched and be done. Like, I think the whole Lish is petrified of what's behind us. She's not going to turn around is good. The me maybe not being able to hear what's behind us is good, but you two would definitely turn around because you're going to want to know what's behind us, and you're going to want to fight it.
Well, but that also brings up the whole: you never want to be the fat. You never want. It doesn't matter how fast you run. You just got to be faster than the slowest guy.
Yes. So Nash, I think you would win if we were allowed to know what's behind us. If Lish or I or Mark were like, Nash, there's something behind us. You're it. And you just keep facing behind, and
I can make things happen.
Yes. Then.
And isn't now? Here's another question: is Toad Road? Now this is going to the Wayback and then the Wayback Machine, but isn't Toad Road where the cemetery in Helm is to the portal to the gates of hell?
Yeah. Well, Toad Road's also part of the 7 gates of hell.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking of. So there's got to be some kind of a demon down there. So
could be. So we put Nash in the rear after a bunch of beer and cheese. If they snatch you, bro, I'll turn around, come after him. And then only Dave and Alicia make it out. And then they start a new podcast. It's a hit.
Yep.
Well, we go down stinky and fighting the whole way. You know what I'm saying?
We'll make the podcast in your honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
That's all that I can ask. That's all that I can ask is you just pour one for the homie every once in a while.
Yep.
Well, Matthew, thank you for the story. I can't imagine you ever thought we would get to what we just talked about and Nash farting on a creature behind him. But thank you for getting us there. Now, we also heard from Lady Candace. Candace, I hope you're doing well.
Yep.
And thank you for sharing a story with us. This is Alicia. She got it.
Okay. If I have shared this story with you before, I apologize. But after 86 amazing episodes, it's hard for me to remember everything. I have a story about a strange paranormal-related experience, if you can call it that I had once, years ago, while I worked in a previous job. This took place in Lynchburg, Virginia, where I am from. Shout out to all my fellow Southerners who know that banana pudding is vanilla pudding with banana slices and vanilla wafers scattered all throughout. LOL. I've lived in the Lynchburg area my entire life and have not only experienced but heard stories of weird and unexplained things happening all over the Lynchburg area. Years ago, I had a job as a receptionist at a law firm that had been located in downtown Lynchburg on Court Street for quite a long time. It was a relatively small office of only like 5 people total while I worked there. While I was working there, the other people in the office would sometimes mention, okay, stop talking, guys. What are you doing?
We were trying to get the camera to see you.
Oh, okay.
Not the cabinets between you guys.
Okay.
Wow, right in the middle of this story, you're
well, you
like,
guys are distracting.
Look.
Yeah, you're distracting me.
Turn the camera that way.
Anyway,
Candace, I'm so
I know.
sorry.
I'm sorry, Candace. While I was working there, the other people in the office would sometimes mention the man that they heard walking around the old building or that they had seen out of the corner of their eye. I've always thought that they were just messing with me because I was young and a new person in the office when they'd say these things. No doubt, the building looked a little creepy, even though it was in decent shape and was well kept. But there was sometimes the sound of footsteps in the hall, and I sometimes thought I saw someone standing in the lobby area in a suit and tie when no one was there. However, the man that the others claimed to see didn't wear a suit and tie. He supposedly wore denim overalls. The building was at one time used for housing for a local women's college, maybe 80 years ago or so. And it was owned, I'm told, by a couple that boarded the students, maintained the house, and kept the grounds. The husband often wore overalls and was in the building all the time doing his job. If I remember the story correctly, when his wife passed away, he no longer kept ownership of the building, and it passed to someone else. And then he died soon after that. I'm not 100% sure on that part. But after he died, people claimed to hear him moving around and doing things in the building like he did when he was still living. My aunt, who worked there with me, claimed that you didn't hear these strange things until stuff was moved around in the building or renovation took place. The first time I heard about the man, I thought it was interesting, but didn't think much of it. However, literally, no joke, the very next day, a gentleman that used to live across the street came in and started asking us if we had seen the man in the building anytime recently. We didn't bring it up to him. We didn't mention it while we were first talking to him. Nothing. It was so very weird. I remember we remarked on it later in the day, and while we were speaking with him, that we were just talking about the man the day before, and out of nowhere, someone comes in and starts asking about any recent experiences. My aunt claimed she saw the man herself once, but only his legs and his denim overalls, as odd as that sounds. There were a lot of boxes with files and whatnot in storage in one part of the building, and they were being moved to another part of the building or being removed altogether. And while this was happening, she caught a glimpse of the denim overalls, but just the pants part. Even she mentions how strange that was to see the leg area of the denim overalls and not the whole man himself. She had no reason to lie or even mention it, except that the experience was so strange and it stuck with her for years after that. I'm sure if I asked her about it today, she'd feel the same way. The man never hurt anything or showed himself to me personally, and while I don't believe we stick around after death, I definitely believe there is something to these strange occurrences that you hear about, and that they're not just our imagination. Perhaps it was an angel there to protect us? Is there any truth to what they call the stone tape theory? Either way, interesting stuff. Thanks for reading my story and for all the fun things you share on the show. Sincerely, Lady Candace.
Thanks, Candace.
Wow.
We may have read that one before.
I'm not sure.
Sort of sound. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was good.
It was good. Thanks for sharing.
So was
Dave,
it,
do you know
was
what
it
the
the
stone
overalls
tape
that were
theory is?
imbued with the spirit? Is that what it was? And because it just seems like a lot of occurring. We talked about so many times about how an object can hold, like the echo, the spiritual energy can be tethered to this reality via a physical object.
You think the overalls were the tether?
Maybe that's what everybody kept saying was a pair of denim overalls.
It was probably the building.
I was thinking it was just more like he always wore that.
Right.
Almost like his trademark. So when people were seeing the apparition, he was exactly like he was every single day when he was taking care of business.
Oh, he was in the denim overalls when everybody saw him, not just. I took that as.
I think even when he was the caretaker, even when he was alive, that was his outfit, his uniform, with his trademark overalls. So when people were seeing apparitions of him, that's exactly how they were seeing him.
Right.
What he always had on when he was fixing things up.
Gotcha. I took it as that all they saw was the overalls walking around like ghost pants, Well,
the one like I feel like the one person just kind of saw the overalls like ghost pants. Oh my god! I just feel like all of a sudden I was like, let's make a movie.
With just the pants walking around, going up and down the steps. I don't know, but that's why I was saying because that was what he was known to be in all the time. So when people saw the denim overalls, they were like, "Oh, it's him!" And then when he passed, he was probably his ghost was probably that was part of his identity was wearing these overalls. So then that's what people saw.
I think it'd manifest more if you bought a pair of overalls at a thrift shop that were haunted. Then they started walking around on their own at night when you went to bed. You woke up and the overalls were standing over your bed.
That's weird. Yeah. And why would you need to go to like a Goodwill or a secondhand store to get the overalls?
I don't know. And then one overhaul strap just kind of falls down while you're looking at it. You're like,
what are you talking about, Mark?
No, make it a comedy.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I don't know. That's pretty wild. I would be a little freaked out if all you saw was the overalls out walking around.
What is
anybody
that?
else hearing birds?
Yeah, what's that beeping?
Who has? Nah, it's got to be Nash. Is there a bird outside
I have my window open. You guys can hear the birds outside?
Yeah. Can you tell the bird to shut his face?
It's nature.
At least let it know that we're recording.
You want me to yell while I'm on the podcast?
Yeah.
Shut up, birds!
Well, now the bird's on the show.
They're chirping away. They're happy about the day.
Bird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ghost pants to birds chirping.
Yeah. And on that note,
we cue the music. Meh.
The video that all the podcaster listeners just heard or saw was me doing the bird Pee Wee Herman dance on the bar top with the white elevator shoes.
That was a fun episode. Oh boy, that bird is loud.
It's so loud.
It just took over the podcast.
I know.
Yeah.
Get ready for next episode. It's just the bird's gonna host it and probably star in it. And yeah, see,
So loud.
it's so loud, dude. Chuck a piece.
That's what I wake up to every morning.
Chuck a rock at it.
That bird is probably a mile away.
There's no way that bird's a mile away. It's sitting on the tree right outside the window.
No, it's there are no birds nearby. That bird is at least a couple 100 yards away, at least.
Not a mile.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're gonna get through this.
Nash, what would you say if I told you it was the painting behind you? She's whistling.
Ooh.
That's because she's looking at the old backside. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
right.
Then she's prepared to have to be fumigated.
Well, she's behind the picture. She's behind a frame to shield herself.
I love that the picture behind you is crooked AF, as my kid would say.
It's not crooked.
Oh, you're crooked. Oh, that's better.
See?
It'd be
She's looking down
funnier.
on me going like, dang, that stinks.
This whole thing would be funnier if people could see the video, but since they're just listening.
Yeah. To the birds outside.
All right. Well, why don't we, along as far, if the bird's okay with it, we're going to move this along to the next segment.
Hold on.
Is it
No. Yep. No, that's not outside.
Okay.
Okay, then I guess it's okay to move along. Oh, there it is again. I wonder if it'd be so funny if the audio is not even picking it up and it's just we can hear it.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, that was a ton of fun. Speaking of a ton of fun, we're doing a lot of fun things over on Patreon. Hey, check it out if you want to. There's a lot of fun things if you want to support the show at a different level. It'll never impact all the awesomeness we do over here on the regular channel.
Right.
We're just experimenting over there with like the 3 seashells. We're talking about, I mean, we're not personally experimenting with the 3 seashells.
That's the next
I
episode,
thought we were supposed to do that.
Oh, did you videotape yourself doing it?
Oh, I'll delete that. Okay.
Whoa, no. That's good Patreon stuff. We'll upload it. Hopefully puppets coming soon. We're working hard on making some puppets. Why? Because we're making why not? That's an excellent answer. We're going to make the Paranormal Punchers movie, and maybe puppets will be there, maybe not. But I've always wanted to have a puppet segment, so it's going to happen. And Lish is working hard on sewing.
Yep.
And hopefully it becomes a real thing. If you never see it, it means everything sucked, and I threw it in the burn pile, and that was it. But I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and didn't we just get some new swag in? Some new exciting stuff for maybe Lulu or
yeah. You're talking about the Paranormal Puppers.
Mm-hmm.
The Paranormal Puppers.
Still a work in progress because the COVID hit and changed everything for everybody.
Right.
But one day we'll have that up so you can order some sweet swag for your puppies.
Yep.
And your adult dogs. And apparently kittens too, because Lish loves kittens.
I know. I want him to make like some catnip toys.
Yeah, we'll have a line of cryptid kitties. That bird in the background, though, that bird's getting nothing.
I know. You've been banned.
Now I'm thinking bird toys, too.
Birds.
Oh, I would love some cat toys, some catnip toys. My cat would love it.
Well,
Shaped
we're
like
working on it.
A little mini Frank.
Oh, love it.
We're working on it. We'll see how things come out.
Where does the catnip come out?
Well,
you know where I'm thinking of, right?
No, I don't. I don't want to guess what you're thinking of.
Maybe out of the belly button.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just reverse that logo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've gone too far.
Yeah.
But we love you very,
on
very
that
much.
note-
I hope everybody is doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. I'm glad we could be there for you to make your quarantine better, but I want you to know that you make also our quarantine great just with your feedback. So if you want to send us anything, go to the website, paranormalpunchers.com, paranormalpunchers@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, whatever, man.
Yeah.
It is. Hey, you're part of the family. You're the friend. We're part of the friend group. You are the friend group. So we'll get through all of this together and make some amazing, funny, great stuff on the other side.
Yep.
In the words of Bill Wilkinson, if it's not weird.
It's not worth checking out.
No, you're supposed to do the Bill
You
Wilkinson
gotta say
voice.
the right voice. Come on.
Take, all right, reset, take back, take two. Well, in the words of Bill Wilkinson, if it's not weird.
It's not worth checking out.
Yeah.
Yeah!